Welcome, welcome YouTube. Look at the shirt I'm wearing. It's been a hot minute since I revealed a Transformer, but I've got one in my possession right now. Actually, I've got this one, which is a masterpiece unboxing, but then I also have a G1 reissue unboxing to come a little later on down the road. So right now I have two in my possession. Uh, just waiting on some new releases to come out. And I've mentioned this before, there's a couple guys I've been waiting on for literally over a year, maybe 2 years for one of them, and they keep announcing these new characters they're going to release, but it's like, well, why don't you focus on the ones you announced a year or two ago that were going to be coming out any day now, and you keep on releasing, oh, these guys are going to be coming out, these guys. No, focus on the here and now and what you got on the table, and then get to future guys in the future, right? But that's neither here or there. Right now I got a new guy to show you. Not a big complicated character, not a very important character, but a G1 Autobot nonetheless. And his name is Tailgate. So Tailgate was a mini-con. If you don't know Transformers, I've mentioned the mini-cons before. They were all of the very small characters that in their G1 forms had a very simple transformation, usually like 3 or 4 steps only, and you've got them done. So that was like Bumblebee, Cliff Jumper, Brawn, Beachcomber, Power Glide, Warpath, so many. Tailgate was one of these, and he came along after another mini con that he was entirely based on. Exact same mold. And that mini con is Wind Charger. Wind Charger was a red, I think a Camaro, or yeah, I think he was a Camaro or a Trans Am, something like that. So Tailgate follows that exact same mold, only he's white. Now, I have taken this information on Tailgate entirely off of some Transformers pages and the back of this box because he was only ever in one Transformers episode near the end of the series. Doesn't speak any lines. I don't even think you see him fire a weapon. So he's kind of like this bot of mystery that was just inserted into this one episode, and it's like, I don't even know if we knew his name back in the day. Like, he was just there all of a sudden for that one episode very briefly, and that was it. So from what I've read, Tailgate was a robot that suffered from low self-esteem. He often spun tall tales of his exploits to impress other bots, where eventually his story would come crashing down around him when it was unraveled that, oh, no, you didn't do that, sort of thing, right? He was also very easily distracted. So he wasn't kind of in the right place to be a perfect Autobot. And he also had this dysfunction where when the Autobots came to Earth, he couldn't tell the difference between an Autobot and a Decepticon having that ability to transform and having sentient life inside of them, between that of a parked regular car, a human car on the side of the road. And he would get all worked up, like, free the cars, the enslavers, the humans. You know, he would get on this rant about, this concern over all these cars that he thought should be sentient and be able to transform like him, but they were just machines. They were just regular old Earth vehicles. So he was a complicated character, but behind all that was a spark of gold. He meant well. He was just a little naive, a little suffering from lack of confidence, and well, we all got some of that going on, don't we? Anyways, let's have a brief look at Tailgate's G1 character so you can see just how simple these mini-cons were back in the day. As you can see, very simple. If I remember Wind Charger's transformation well enough, because I do have his original character. Never had tailgates. I don't even remember him. But you just fold down the legs. The back half of the car becomes the legs. They fold down, and then you just pull out the two arms, and they can move around, and that's it. His head's built right into the undercarriage of the car mold, right? So basically 2 steps, 3 steps if you count the arms as single steps, and he's done sort of thing. So the minicons were very basic toys, but some of them were pretty cool. I really like Beachcomber's mold. I really like Warpath and Power Glide. Bumblebee and Cliffjumper were cool with the way their kind of heads just folded out of the back of their thing. But once they got worn out, they would always flop around and flop back down into the car when you had them in robot mode. So it's funny the things you remember playing as a kid. Once your bots got loose, they'd been played with enough that they got loose. You can remember all the little glitches they had, right, when you were trying to play with them. But anyways, this will definitely be the first hatch I've ever had because I didn't have his original. And right now we're gonna watch the only clip I know exists of I keep calling him Hatch. That's what X-Transbots called him, is Hatch, but Tailgate. So the only clip I know that exists of Tailgate in the G1 cartoon, we're about to watch it. And you may recognize this clip if you've watched my previous unboxings, because there's a couple of other mini-cons in this sequence that didn't feature into the cartoon very much. Swerve, I think, he's the guy that gets stepped on and pounded into the ground. I think this might be his only clip in the series as well. Maybe there's 1 or 2 others. I think I did this clip for Pipes as well because he talked a lot and featured into this clip a lot, although I do think he was in other scenes in the series, not many. But this is Tailgate's only confirmed appearance in the series that I know of. So let's let the cameras roll and pick him out of this sequence if you can find him.
We have no choice, boom, but to make our stand here for him. Autobots, we've got to hold that thing off till the cog arrives. As Optimus Prime used to say, transform and roll out. Charge!
Constructicons, let us join the battle.
What's the point? We're superfluous. Yes, Triptychon's just gonna give him the big stomp.
Okay, monster, let's see how you like the old 1-2. You can't do that. Oh!
Try and swat this. Pow! I don't believe it. Teletran 1! No! Activate the defenses! Ow! It never stood a chance, boy. And without the transforming cog, neither does Metroplex.
Yeah, so it's an extended clip, a couple minutes long or so, and there's lots of guys in it, but Tailgate, he doesn't get much respect in this little sequence, his only sequence, does he? So you'll see like there was a line of, I think it was Bumblebee, Warpath, and maybe Beachcomber, maybe it was Swerve, I don't remember, but the 3 or 4 of them are all charging at Triptychon in a row, and they're all firing their blasters pretty hard. We see Tailgate in there a couple times driving, but we never once hear him say a word. We don't once see him actually shoot a weapon. And the only thing we see him do eventually is he's one of the guys that gets kicked by Trypticon and gets sent into the distance. Even though we don't see him sent anywhere, we only see Pipes and I think Swerve come down from that kick. God knows where Tailgate ended up because we don't see him again after that. So it's kind of funny you can bring a character into a series and really only have him appear for a tiny little bit like that, but at the same time make a toy of him, right? Like, I'm sure kids showed up at the toy store and were like, who the hell is this guy, right? Like, but that's the way it was. But it didn't stop me from wanting his masterpiece scale character from X-Transbots, because I have wanted to flesh out every single character there is in the G1 series, with the exception of some that came later in the series, like the Headmasters and stuff like that. That wasn't really my jam. The original, just simple, basic transforming cars, planes, that was my jam, and Tailgate qualified for that. Although he didn't have much of an appearance, he still qualified, and now I've got him. So let's open him up, see what he looks like. I'm assuming, if I remember with Windcharger, that he's going to be in his car mode when we take him out of this box, which is easier for me. It only makes me have to transform him once, but he is small, so the transformation should be fairly simple. Let's open him up and find out, shall we? Tailgate, here he is. The rarely glimpsed Tailgate. He's a bot of mystery. The X-Transbots seal of approval is off. Check him out. So I think he's basically the exact same as Windcharger, just different color and then maybe slightly different details with like the face and head and stuff. Yeah, and that's what it's looking like, if I remember correctly. So the accessories he comes with include a blaster. I'm not sure what that is. Little blue piece to put in somewhere. And then a different chest plate. So depending on, sometimes they have like the cartoon version versus a more stylized version, so you can swap out different things. I'll probably look at his G1 mold again and just go with whatever's the more cartoony version, because that's what I'm all about. Instructions, and of course his character card, Hatch, and the man himself. Like I said, he showed up in his vehicle form. Compared to, like, you can definitely tell the scale of these when we're thinking about some of the bigger guys I did, like, Optimus Prime and Megatron. Ultra Magnus was huge. It really does, they do a good job of, the difference in size between the regular sized characters and the mini-cons. It really reflects, that difference. So there is Tailgate in all his glory. I will peel that quality check sticker off the hood. Great place to put it. And get them all cleaned up, and then we will flip over to time-lapse. We'll get them transformed. I'll take some pictures, and I will give you my final thoughts on Tailgate. All right, Tailgate is in the house. I don't know if you could tell from the time lapse there, but I had a bit of difficulty, especially with the legs, getting them transformed. It was sometimes one step almost needs multiple steps broken down into like a first little movement, second little movement, because it took me a long time to figure that step out. So I tried to follow along and piece out what they were doing. I didn't get it. So I just started playing with them myself and seeing which way everything bent, whatever, okay. And then I went back and redid it and eventually pieced it together. And it was like, oh, okay, now we got it. So the legs weren't the easiest. Folding the arms out of the body too, there was a couple issues there. So for being so small and simple compared to some of the other bigger guys, this actually wasn't the smoothest transformation into robot mode. But now that he's here, for the most part, he's pretty tight. I took off the faceplate, or sorry, the chest plate that he came installed with, because this one's more true to the actual cartoon version of him. And I put it on. But the way they have you lock in the chest plate to his robot when he's coming together in robot mode is the wheels, his front wheels are in here, and each front wheel has a tiny little slot in it that you have to match the pegs up with this thing and get them to go. And it's just it doesn't quite line up easy. It's not an easy thing to pull off. It doesn't quite hold that well. So a little disappointed with the chest plate and how it attaches into the body of him to bring them all together. But that's about it in terms of, like, you can see there, it kind of like doesn't lock in, right? But it's not a big deal, especially if he's just standing there on display. You wouldn't really notice. And then the only other thing was, when I was doing the legs, a little piece fell off. Not a big deal. I put it back on. It's staying for now. I might have to glue it just to make sure I don't lose it. And some of the parts in the feet seemed a little bit loose. So now that they're all transformed and stuff, it's all tight. But when I was twisting them around and folding them over and stuff, they did feel kind of loose. So otherwise, he looks amazing. He looks awesome. And I don't remember having this trouble with Wind Charger, but I did him so long ago that if I did have trouble, I probably blocked it out by now. But I'm pretty sure they were exactly the same type of transformation. So I'm probably pretty sure I did have the same trouble. I just don't remember. But not the easiest transformation, but he looks fantastic. This is a really good looking toy. And after I sign off here, I'm going to go put him on the counter right beside his buddy Wind Charger. And I might have a little once over of Wind Charger just to see if it's, how close it is. But I'm pretty sure these guys are basically identical, other than a few little detailing on the chest and the head and stuff like that. But glad I got him. Wish he was a little tighter, but you can't win them all. Still love them though. Until next time.
Meow.